Sir Derek Jacobi, another one less than comfortable with the idea of strictures on verse speaking. And with Knights, Jacobi and Hall, we stumbled on that most valued of theatrical devices, dramatic tension.
I approach prose as verse and verse as prose. This sounds heresy. Peter Hall would have my head. Several other directors and actors would have my head. They are welcome to it.
She is the fairy's midwife, and she comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman, drawn with a team of little atomy athwart men's noses as they lie asleep.
A healthy disrespect of punctuation is essential. If you want the line to end in the middle, you end it in the middle.
Never take a breath in the middle of a line. Ever, 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 ever.
If you want it to mean something else other than it means, do it. You've got, as you would do in any contemporary play, make the text suit your interpretation of the role. Otherwise, the role comes out the same every time it's ever done.
We're taught, or have been taught since Stanislavski, that what matters is feeling. And that therefore you say, what does this character want? What is their demand? What is their emotional demand on themselves? And you go through all this psychological carry-on, trying to find the feeling, and then you say, now what do I say? To be or not? I don't want to say that. You know, so you rewrite it. That's the story of modern drama to some extent. A few people came along and blew the whistle on it.
I do feel that it becomes accessible only when the audience, who are listening for the first time sometimes to an archaic text, when they can respond to that and they can understand it, even though there are words they're hearing, they have no idea what they mean, but they know your attitude, they know what you're thinking.
If you understand the form, like a form of a piece of music or the form of a piece of dance, it can lead you to the feeling. But if you start with the feeling, you're very unlikely to end up with the form.
The fell insensate points of mighty opposites. But put our two knights in front of a piece of text, Hamlet ruminating on the craft to which both Sir Derek and Sir Peter have given so much over the years, and many issues seem to resolve themselves.
This is a very passionate piece that you've given me.
Now I am alone. I mean, the first thing we've got to do is make every line scan. Be-bum, 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 be-bum. Because if it doesn't scan, we've got to use it like a cross rhythm in jazz. Now, it scans, oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. But, you see, in order to give it life, variety, he's inverted the first beat.
Now I am alone.
Pause.
Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I.
Oh, what a rogue. Bing, ba-ba-bung. It's not, oh, what a rogue. I mean, if somebody came on stage and said, oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I, you'd say, you're dead right and you're not an actor, go away. I mean, it's an inversion which makes it feel alive.
Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit,
that from her working all his visage wanned,
tears in his eyes, distractions in his aspect, a broken voice, and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing?
For Hecuba. Magic pause, worthy of Pinter at his best.
What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her?
What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba? Hello? Got 6. Marlowe would never think of messing about with the verse like this. I mean, his verse is really regular and classic, but Shakespeare took it and moved with it.
Yet I, a dull and muddy metal rascal, peak, like John o' Dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing.
No, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Well, you can see I'm not going to play Hamlet. When I've learnt it and have got the costume, I'll let you know and we can do it better.
Judi Dench as Hamlet. Now there's a thought. And another thought that occurred to me, as Tiffany Stern and I gingerly turned the pages of Garrick's quarto edition of Othello, was what she, with her knowledge of the methods and styles of Shakespeare's time, made of our efforts today.
I think what's wonderful about modern Shakespeare performances is, begging your forgiveness, there's never one that's the unique, excellent final word on it. And what you do is you go to lots of productions and you get a cumulative modern Hamlet, which is what I like.
What I find nowadays is an attention to meaning and clarity, rather than the words just coming out in a sort of fantastic, melodious blur. I don't think that happens anymore.
Michael Billington, who with almost 50 years of theatre going behind him, is well placed to pass judgment.
Peter Schaffer said to me the other day, he went to see a production of Troilus and Cressida, and I said, did you enjoy it? He said, yeah, but I did, but the actors didn't seem to realise the privilege of speaking those words. I thought it was a good sentence, the privilege of speaking those words. And I just take one very quick, concrete example. Henry IV, Part 1, a relatively minor character, has a fantastic speech, a character called Vernon, when he's describing Prince Hal. He says, I saw young Harry with his beaver on, his cuishes on his thighs, gallantly armed, rise from the ground like feathered Mercury, and vaulted with such ease into his seat, as if an angel dropped down from the clouds to turn and wind a fiery Pegasus, and witch the world with noble horsemanship. Well, even allowing for a critic's lamentable speaking of verse, I mean, doesn't that invite enthusiasm for the arc of the sentence and the joy of those words? And I sometimes feel that passion for the speech is not there. But that may be because we live in a culture where we don't, on the whole, relish language in the way that the Elizabethans obviously did.
I think actors today actually have quite a difficult task, because I think we don't want to hear really rather poetically musical sound Shakespeare anymore, like you did maybe 20 years ago. It's sort of strangely out of date. But I think actors today have to make Shakespeare, as it were, sound as if it is being spoken for now, but somehow honour that bottom line rhythm and music which is in the language which we respond to.
It's a wonderful challenge. I long to be back in a rehearsal room, working on the indications and rhythmic details identified by Sir Peter Hall and Dame Judi Dench, and searching for the individuality urged by Sir Derek Jacobi and Cis Berry, in an attempt to relish Shakespeare's lines into life.
Muck about with it, play around with it, interpret it for yourself.
Oh, what form of prayer can serve my turn? Forgive me my foul murder. That cannot be, since I am still possessed of those effects for which I did the murder. My crown, mine own ambition, and my queen.
It is up to us to pass on the whole business of speaking it. It is. It does matter. There's no question about it. It matters.
I have a faint, cold fear thrills through my veins that almost freezes up the heat of life.
The great thing about verse speaking is that it's subject, it seems to me, to individual temperament and individual talent and the individual's ability to find within the verse something that is meaningful to them.
Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death? The undiscovered country, from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of.
I think in 200 years' time, Shakespeare will need modernising, and God help us.
Yeah.
What is true is that if an actor understands it now, really understands it, he can make 1,000 people understand it who wouldn't understand it reading it.
Oh, Lord. I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is.